Hey guys, this is Matt from Faceless Gaming giving you the most anticipated games of 2022. Console exclusivity is becoming extremely more common in the current age of gaming, with each brand fighting to be the home of the top titles. With day one releases happening on Xbox Game Pass for the likes of Halo and Forza, it seems fair to say that they are steps ahead of the competition. Regardless of any console wars, each system is home to some absolutely amazing series that are absolute must-haves for any avid gamer. Join me as we take a look at the top games exclusive to their respective systems. First up, Xbox. Redfall. Redfall was recently introduced at this year's E3 showcase, giving us a brilliant and captivating cinematic trailer that gives a brief view of what to expect from the title. From the studio behind Deathloop and Dishonored, Arcane are once again taking the helm of what is hoped to be a contender of one of the best games of the year. Although we don't know much on the project, what we do know is that it will be an open world experience that can be played either solo or co-op, which will pit players against vampires and other enemies along the way. There are 4 playable characters, each with their own sets of special abilities like sharpshooting or telekinesis. With no gameplay yet to be seen, we can only hope that graphically it will live up to expectations. Next up, Starfield. Skyrim in space. This was the definition given to the upcoming title Starfield from Bethesda Games, which is set to take the next generation of gaming to a whole new level, both graphically and in extensive world building. This is the first new series from Bethesda in 25 years, and they seem to be making quite the entrance into the next generation. Another announcement from this year's E3, we were given an in-game trailer along with Todd Howard giving a brief speech of what to expect from the title. The game's narrative will focus heavily on existential problems such as our place in the universe and what awaits us in the further unknown. The sci-fi side will be much less than that of series like Star Wars, Star Trek or Guardians, and lean more on a gritty, realistic version of space that will be brimming with explorable areas and, well, knowing Bethesda, seemingly unending content. Slated for November, fans needn't fear for any delays, as Todd Howard mentions, "We're confident in the date. Otherwise, we wouldn't be announcing it." Next up, Stalker II. Heart of Chernobyl. Back in 2010, it was announced that a sequel to the highly acclaimed Stalker game was in development and due to release in 2012. However, due to financial, personal and staff problems, the game and all others from the company were immediately cancelled, and after numerous attempts at a revival, nothing came to fruition. Fast forward to this year's E3, and we were given our first full taste in the form of a gameplay trailer showcasing an eerie, horror setting filled with vile mutants, raiders and soldiers, causing players to be on high alert in this tense survival game. Originally announced to run with the Unreal Engine 4, in August it was later updated to Unreal Engine 5, further giving players even more reason to be hyped for its release. Next up, PlayStation. God of War Ragnarok. This destructive sequel will definitely be contender for Game of the Year, as its predecessor was in the winner of 2018, with the outstanding story, setting and gameplay all being above expectations and delivering a fantastic gaming experience. And now, Ragnarok has come for Kratos, and although there is no specific date, we are expecting a release in the coming year for the PS4 and 5. 3 years after the events of the first game, the gods have arrived, and so has the end of the Norse saga. We're expecting to travel to new lands and areas and meet new characters of the mythos behind the new story. It will be most interesting to see how well Santa Monica end up finishing their retelling of the End of Days in the forthcoming game, but however it is done, we are to expect a whole load of new monsters, weapons and abilities to aid us in our journey through the 9 realms. Next up, Horizon Forbidden West. Another groundbreaking sequel coming from PlayStation is Forbidden West, the follow-up to the outstanding Horizon Zero Dawn that takes us to a post-apocalyptic world overrun by mechanical beasts and various tribes scattered across the land. This open-world game was a real winner for PlayStation, as the title drew a fair amount of players onto the console out of curiosity, which paid off with one of the best gaming experiences. Next up, Sifu. Martial arts within video games are a rare occurrence, with very few games hitting the mark. Titles like Yakuza or Sleeping Dogs being the only few to give the fighting style life in the gaming world. However, developers Slowclap have been working on a title that heavily focuses on the fighting style and everything it has to offer in the world of battles and hidden magic. The game features over 150 unique moves, giving the player a high advantage as they progress. Also featured is utilising the environment during battles, such as using objects as weapons or throwing enemies over ledges. When players die, they will respawn in the same location, however, will age a few years. As the character ages, their blows will be more powerful, but will have less health each time around. Encounter shrines or visit the Kung Fu school to unlock new skills and practice them before big fights. It's unknown if this will be a full open world experience or more of a level-based fighting game. However, the concept and in-depth mechanics of the Pac-Mei fighting style are extremely promising. Next up, Nintendo Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Definitely one of the most anticipated titles, as it was voted so at E3 2021. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild will release its follow-up project at some point throughout the next year, with more information coming fairly soon. Little is known about the game, as Nintendo are doing their very best to have it be a surprise to fans, especially by leaving out an official title or a full view of the protagonist. This only leaves speculation for fans on what the plot will be for the upcoming game, although we will have the same map, so we will look forward to seeing new gameplay elements, as well as the skies above Hyrule now being included. Very exciting stuff. The Zelda series is one many gamers have grown up with, and it's great to see it still going strong. Unlike some sequels or expansions, this game will take a unique direction and stand completely on its own in comparison. Next up, Pokemon Legends. Arceus. Or is it Arceus? Sounds wrong. This upcoming Pokemon title will be part of its 8th generation of games. Arceus will take us back to the Hisui region, now part of the Sinnoh region, long before the time of the recently released Diamond and Pearl games, making this a prequel to these titles. As we are back in early years, things seem to touch a bit different, as Pokeballs will be made from wood, and creating the region's first Pokedex will be the main objective. Another first will be the available starter Pokemon being from 3 separate generations: Rowlet from Sun and Moon, Cyndaquil from Gold and Silver, and Oshawott from Black and White. Nintendo are going all out on this project, and it is set to test the game's limits like never before. Die-hard fans will no doubt be waiting in anticipation for this one. And now, something for all of us to play. Now we'll take a look at some of the titles that will be released across the board this year. Exclusives may hold an advantage, but that doesn't mean that the quantity of AAA titles being released on consoles are falling short. Last year gave us an abundance of amazing titles that gave some next level experiences, and now, with the whole year ahead, we have to look forward to. Let's dive in. Hogwarts Legacy. The Wizarding World gets its own standalone game with Hogwarts Legacy, a brand new story in a familiar setting of Hogwarts, but in the late 1800s. So much of the beloved characters we have become familiar with throughout the series will not be featured, nor will some areas like the Whomping Willow Tree. Placing the story in an unexplored time period is the perfect way to create a brand new story from scratch while simultaneously expanding the lore. Given an initial release date of 2021, it was unfortunately delayed to give the team more time to perfect the project and give the fans a truly special game. With an entire world to explore, fantastic beasts to find, and the threat of the dark arts looming over, it will certainly be an expansive and captivating experience. With still little information, we can only hope on more information soon. Next up, Elden Ring. From the mixed creative minds of George R.R. Martin, famous for Game of Thrones, and Hidetaka Miyazaki, from Dark Souls and Bloodborne, comes the next big fantasy blockbuster in gaming since Skyrim. Enter a world fueled by war and magic, and take on the task of finding the Great Runes and rebuilding the Elden Ring. With Miyazaki at the helm of directing, we can expect similar gameplay and mechanics to the Souls games, but with Martin's influence, it will be a completely new experience for players of the genre. Winning Most Anticipated Game of the Year 2 years in a row clearly shows the high expectations for this game. Next up, Gotham Knights. Although the DC cinematic universe may be somewhat lacking in decent quality projects, their gaming counterparts never seem to face that problem, with many of the games such as Batman Arkham or Injustice series being highly rated. Enter a Gotham City that has lost its Caped Crusader and has fallen under the control of the Court of Owls, an underground elite ran by the most powerful and wealthy of Gotham, which has caught the attention of the Gotham Knights, which seek to reclaim their city. Take action as Red Hood, Robin, Batgirl and Nightwing in the most interactive and dynamic version of Gotham yet in this open world RPG. Suicide Squad also busting into the scene with their own standalone game this year. It seems DC are once again giving Marvel a run for their money. Next up, Saints Row. Saints Row sits in the memory of most gamers, especially of the earlier series. Unfortunately for most, it felt as if the game had strayed too far from their roots and became too wacky, silly, and out of stretch of reality. However, in an attempt to revive the series and bring back any lost fans, as well as breaking into the next generation, the series is facing a reboot and a more grounded one at that. There is an admission here that they had gone too far from what they wanted, so they decided to pull back and give us a perfect mix of the comedy and seriousness we're used to. Although there is still split opinions on the reveal, with some claiming it's still too far gone from the original feel of the series, we will still have to wait and see for ourselves if the developers will live up to fan expectations. And there you go, that's the most anticipated games for this year, 2022. With many more fantastic games coming out over the next 12 months, this is just a small taste of what to expect. From Avatar to Tiny Tina's Wonderland, it is truly a year for gamers. We will certainly have a lot to keep us occupied, and as always, you can keep up to date with all the new releases on our page, and as the games release, we'll be giving detailed reviews on the biggest and best. Remember to like, subscribe to this video if you've enjoyed it, and to follow us on all of our social medias to keep up to date with all the latest gaming news. That's all from me, guys. This has been Matt at Faceless Gaming. See you soon.